If you were to give the new fifth graders next year advice about how to be successful in the exhibition, if it was organized the same as this year, what would you want them to know?
Okay, my advice would be it will be difficult and frustrating at first. It will, I know. And but just give it like a week or two, and then everything's just gonna get better, and like you'll get along more with the people, and yeah, and it could be like hard at first, like with the organization and stuff, but again, it will get better.
Tell me what's hard about it at the beginning that gets figured out.
Because we've never had to work with 4 other individuals, so it's kind of hard because we have lots of different personalities, but you'll get used to it.
So the challenge for you was personal and less the research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the research is like not a big deal.
So I think you're suggesting that over the course of the exhibition, you learn to make compromises, you learn to be more tolerant, you learn to be more respectful, learn to communicate. That's your experience in your team? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're talking about your team, you're in the same team. Do you agree with what Dasha said?
Yeah, but so the 4th grader and coming 5th graders, personally, I think that, like, rest of the grades, people get along very well. Like, everyone's saying that this class is a weird class, but
Great.
I think people...
I've never heard that. Heard that.
I think people get along better there, but, yeah, I agree that as you go on, you start getting used to the personalities. Yeah, I guess.
What do you think, Dom? What advice did you have?
Before you choose the topic, you really need to think about what you're going to be researching about. Because if you pick something right away that you figure it out in the middle that you're not going to be interesting, to you, your project may fail. So you need to really think about it. And also, for the people that you may have conflict toward, you need to compromise, because you're going to be working with that person for 5 to 6 weeks, so you have to learn to have teamwork.
And you have to not try to avoid the person that you're not comfortable with. You have to just go with it. Because if you avoid them, then your projects, then their part of the project from you is going to fall apart. Because your whole project, all parts of everyone's research all sums up to the one thing. So if you fall apart from someone else's research, then the whole like James's thing, how he said, you're holding the candle, you're walking in a room full of dynamite. One trip, the room explodes. So,
what do you think? What advice would you have for the kids next year?
I would say don't get all make sure your topic is something that you're really interested in, and not just you want to be happy, or you want your other team to be happy, but you're not really interested in it. You have to be really interested in it. And if somebody disagrees, don't make it last. Just say, okay, we'll just, sorry for what happened, and just move on. And
sure.
I mean, not in a bad way.
Sure,
not
of course,
in a
yeah.
severe way.
Let's say that the one question I think Mrs. Walsh and I have is, you made essential agreements at the beginning. I could imagine in some groups you just make them and forget about them. They really have no effect in your team. What was your experience? Did they matter?
So yeah, because at first Josh and Ashley were facilitators, and Ashley was she was not letting Dasha speak enough. Our whole group was doing that. But then one of our essential agreements before that started happening was share the air, which is letting other people talk as well. Yeah. So then we kept telling Ashley to be more quiet. So she did that. She kept being more quiet, and Dasha started speaking up until she got to the point where she thought she wasn't being helpful, which she was. So she gave me the role of facilitator. And after that, she wasn't she wasn't talking too much, but she was leveling out with the rest of the group in the conversations.
So this is an example of that
Yeah.
the essential agreements you made in a team really did
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Because then Dasha might have felt that she wasn't getting enough speech, and that let everyone.
And it was
else
successful in the
speak.
end, right?
Yeah.
You feel that
It
way?
was really successful.
Dylan, what do you think?
Once you if you make the central agreements and actually stick to it, it makes everything run more smoother. Like for our team, I could predict that if we didn't have those central agreements, our team would have been disastrous because of like one of our essential agreements was to not talk over each other and not argue with each other. And if we didn't make that, our team would just be wasting time arguing with each other over a simple thing. So you're saving time and also making things run smoother for you and both your team.
And you're saying that in your experience, they really did work that way too.
Yeah.
It's not just what they could do; they really did that.
Mm-hmm.
Ria, what do you think?
I think that they helped because at the beginning, everybody was kind of cutting into what everybody was saying, and it wasn't like giving other people a chance to talk, or two people were always talking and they wouldn't give anybody else a chance to talk, and we made that, and so everybody was like sharing more, and we kind of did where we thought about doing where somebody had a pencil, and if they had the pencil, they talked.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't really do that, but that was just an example of what we could do but everybody started sharing.
What you're saying is you set essential agreements, and they really didn't have an effect. They did matter to your group. Nita, do you feel the same way?
I think they did have an effect on my group because without them, like me and Alex don't really get along. But without the central agreements, my group just would have fallen apart by me and Alex arguing.
It's well said. So it did matter to you.
Yeah.
Dasha, what do you think?
I think they did help. I definitely agree with Jason that they did help, like, with the more dominant personalities in our group. They kind of, like, backed off, and, yeah, now Jason's facilitator.
So about myself is that sometimes when I'm explaining things to my group, like questions that you give us to talk to as a group, my thinking comes too fast to my mouth and I don't let other people talk. So like you ask us and I'm already thinking and it's already coming to my mouth. So then when people are still thinking, I ruin that, and I wouldn't say ruin, but I don't let their thinking happen as well, and I talk too fast and don't give them a chance. Like in the questions, like I answer too fast. I don't let them get a chance to think too as well as what I'm doing, because things just come to me faster than other people. So I need to let that stay in my head and not let it go too fast to my mouth.
I mean, as a result of going through the 6 weeks of working with a team of kids that you wouldn't ordinarily work with, you must have learned something about yourself, about skills, about how to work with other people, what to do, what not to do, when to be active, when to be passive. Do you have any thoughts about that? What might you do going into the tech challenge next year based on what you do this year? So, Ria, what were we going to say?
Encourage more people to talk more, because I talk, like kind of like Jason said, a lot, and other people are kind of quiet, and I think, oh, they're going to talk for me, so I don't have to talk, but I have to give other people, make sure they say something, rather than just me saying everything and then just going along with it.
Jade's good at that because she's always quiet, but she knows it. So like she seems really quiet in her group, but then she's just what I see is that she just lets other people talk.
And so all of us have something to work on in a group, and Jade definitely has something that she could probably work on to be a stronger group member. It can be that you say less and other people say more.
Yeah, that's
what a real leader might do, is to be aware of the team.
Yeah, that's what we talked to Miss Glick about. We thought that we have to. One of our goals was to. Well, James and James thought that he really needed to talk less, and Jenna was like, "Yeah, one of my goals
After
is I need
these
to talk."
6 weeks, I think that I found myself having more confidence, talking to other people, which I normally would not really interact with. Yeah. So I think that could help me in the future.
Because you've seen that you can do that, and your group respects your voice. You might be shy about doing it, but you've been in a position where you saw that it worked. Anybody else? Yeah.
It's almost the same as Dasha. I knew this from the past few years, that I'm shy and nervous when you present in front of other people. But I know that you have to overcome it in order to have a successful future, to share your ideas, and then that'll make the world a better place.
And to let go sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we all have a tendency to beat ourselves up, and that's not helpful. To take on more than we can do ourselves. This life task there is to give other people the responsibility and not assume the responsibility for everyone around us.
And like Celeste, sometimes I just feel it feels really hot. So on my face when I'm presenting. So then for some reason it makes my mouth speak faster. So as I was saying the conclusion and as I was getting toward the end, I started speaking faster. So and I used to do what I just did. I stumble up upon words and I repeat words.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
It's true for all of us.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as Jason. Yesterday when Mr. Hofstein asked that question, I knew the answer, but those 7th graders just right up there staring at me. I got so scared.
But and they're in my brother's class.
I got so scared that I didn't know, I didn't know how to talk.